Welcome to the video, guys. So, a question that I get asked probably on a daily basis are, what are macros and why do I personally track them? So, today I'm going to be taking you guys to school with a little Macros 101. So, sit back and listen to my soothing voice and maybe learn a thing or two. Alright, enjoy, guys. Alright, so to start off, why do I personally track macros? So I have been tracking macros for about, I'd say 3 years now, and I've tried a whole bunch of other diets just to kind of experiment. So I've done paleo, I've done carb cycling, I've done extremely low carb, high fat, low carb, and I've found that counting macros, flexible dieting, whatever you want to call it, has worked. It's been the most efficient tool that I've used to maintain my weight, to bulk, and to cut. So that is why I do it. It's flexible. I'm able to eat dirty foods, as some people like to call it, into my day if I choose to do so. And that's another thing. It's flexible. You don't need to restrict yourself. If you want to eat a cookie, say, you can do so. And to lead into that, I don't associate foods as healthy or unhealthy. I think that is an unhealthy way to think. When you associate like a cookie, for example, as bad, you are going to want to binge. You're going to want to eat 50 cookies in one sitting. So yeah, I hear a lot of people say, I'm eating this because it's healthy and it's going to help me lose weight. Well, if you eat 20 apples in a day just because they're healthy, that is a lot of carbs. You won't lose weight. Whereas if you eat 1 or 2 cookies, that's about the same amount of carbs as an apple. So that's the way I look at foods. I look at them as their macro makeup, and if I can fit them in my day. That's why I don't eat a whole lot of fruit, is because it's very high in carb, and I want to save my carbs for other things. It's about moderation. It's about calories in versus calories out. If you're on some type of like cookie cutter diet where you're having, say, chicken and rice one meal, and then the next meal you're having fish and veggies, and then the next meal you're having like sweet potatoes and some type of meat, and your weight plateaus, what are you gonna do? Take out the sweet potato? Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense. That is just my kind of take on it. That is why I do flexible dieting. It is flexible. And once you get the hang of it, it's simple. Calories are consisted of your carbs, protein, and fats. Those 3 things make up those calories you eat in the day. So, say you eat 2,000 calories in one day. So, 1 gram of carb equals 4 calories. 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. And 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. Your makeup of that day could be, just for an example, it could be 275 grams of carbs, 150 grams of protein, and 33 grams of fat. And now this is just a general example. I mean, your macros for that day could also be, let's see, on the opposite side of the spectrum, 100 grams of carbs, 200 protein, and 89 grams of fat. So with those 2,000 calories, there can be multiple combinations of what the macro makeup of those calories could be. We had 275 grams of carbs as the example. So you multiply that by 4 calories, because 1 gram of carb equals 4 calories. So this is 275 grams multiply that by 4 calories, and you get 1,100 calories. And then for protein, 150 grams of protein, which is also 4 calories. So you're going to multiply that by 4, and you get 600 calories. Oops. And then for the fat, 33 grams, and you multiply that by the 9 calories, and you get 297. And so when you add all these up, you get roughly 2,000 calories. I think the general rule of thumb for fiber is 10 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories. And that's what I go by. So I'm usually getting about 30 grams of fiber every single day. Okay, so your next question might be, where do I get started? How do I get started with macros? How do I get my numbers? So when I first started, I used the IIFYM online calculator off their website, which I think is very skewed. It's just a calculator standardized to pretty much your height and weight and activity level, and I just think it's not very personable. So what I would suggest someone doing is downloading MyFitnessPal on your phone, on your computer, whatever, and track everything you eat for at least 3 days. And then from those 3 days, you can get your averages of what your carb intake is, your protein intake is, and your fat intake is, and then make up your macros from those averages. So I'll kind of show you just a little example here. So say that one day you eat 200 grams of carbs one day, and then the next day you get 150 grams of carbs, and then on the third day you take in 130 grams of carbs. So what you can do is add all these up and divide them by 3, and you're left with 160 grams of carbs. So, and then do that also with your proteins and your fats, but I just did carbs just to kind of shorten this up. So these are your grams of carbs. And so I would just go off those macros that you get your averages from and track your weight every single day. And if your weight is staying the same, great. If your weight is for some reason skyrocketing, then just take your carbs down a notch to like 140 and see how your weight fluctuates with that. And also depending on your goals, if you're trying to lose weight, to see how these go for a week. And if you're losing weight, great, keep it right there. And if you see that your weight's going up or it's not doing anything at all, then try going with this number. And then from there you can just play with your numbers, see what kind of works. Okay, so say that these are actually someone's macros for a total day. Now they're looking at their carbs and they're thinking to themselves, wow, I have so many grams of carbs, I could eat a whole package of Pillsbury ready-to-bake chocolate chip cookies, which are the best, by the way. So say they eat a whole package of those cookies, which comes out to be 275 grams of carbs, about 12 grams of protein, and like 75 grams of fat. Actually, no, I think it's 77. I actually calculated this out, by the way. So fat. So, yes, they did hit their grams of carbs for the day, but their protein is significantly off. they only got 12 and you're supposed to get 150 for the day. And they got probably double the fat that they're supposed to get. So this is where you kind of have to treat macros kind of like a puzzle. You're putting together a puzzle. You're trying to find foods that fit within your daily macros. So this would not be a smart plan to do, especially with the fat content. High fat and high carb is a nasty combination. And also on top of this, you probably got 0 grams of fiber, which is a no-no. So these are my macros for every single day, and they're on the lower end just because I'm cutting, but I'm getting 130 grams of carbs, 140 grams of protein, and 55 grams of fat. Say that one day I wanted to have Pop-Tarts, which are my favorite, the sugar cookie Pop-Tarts. Say I wanted to have 2 or 1 pack. So a 2-pack is 400 calories. It's 70 grams of carbs, about 4 grams of protein, and 10 grams of fat. So if I were to start out my day with that, I've already used up over half of my carbs. So for the rest of the day, I pretty much have to starve myself, and I'm basically gonna just have to be eating protein and fats for the rest of the day to make up for that. Whereas, say that I start out my day with a whole pack of rice cakes, which is 14, I believe. So 14 rice cakes, and each rice cake has about 8 grams of carbs. And that would come out to 112 grams of carbs, I believe. So yeah, I could nearly have 14 rice cakes for the same amount of carbs as 2 little Pop-Tarts. So for me, the Pop-Tarts, I love them, but it's not worth it because there's no volume to it. 2 Pop-Tarts honestly won't fill me up, whereas 14 rice cakes, I mean, I wouldn't do this, have 14 rice cakes, but I'm just showing kind of volume. That's why I always stress eating volume when you're dieting, just to fill you up. Find foods that are not calorically dense. So Pop-Tarts are very calorically dense. The macros on them are pretty terrible. I mean, for 2 little baby Pop-Tarts, you're getting 70 grams of carbs. That's terrible. So that is macros 101. I hope you guys kind of learned a little thing or two. I think I fail sometimes to realize that people probably don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about my macros. It's just an everyday thing for me, and I've been doing it for so long, so it's just a very easy concept for me. But it just takes time to get used to, and it might not be the best diet tool for you, you know, but I would definitely say give it a try because it's helped me out so much. Honestly, I've tried pretty much every other diet, and this has just been the best for me with gaining weight, with losing weight, with maintaining my weight. So like I said before, it is the most optimal tool. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, share it with your mom, share it with your grandma, spread it around the world. But this will be the end of the video. So thanks for watching, and I'll check you guys in the next one. Peace.